shows.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Just read them straight
you know,
through. Anything. Okay, good
yeah,
idea.
that would be
I
really
think I
good.
can do that. I'll definitely do that. Okay, so all right. Well, welcome everyone. This is Terry, aka T Raw, and coming to you with a just a little webinar that is dealing with our aging parents. And if you're not at that place yet, and your parents are still living, then chances are you will reach that time and place where you're caring for them. Roles are reversed. You're seeing yourself as the one, as the caretaker, just as they were when you were a baby and a toddler and in those learning years. So I just felt that it was, excuse me, important to cover this topic. We have a lot of experts at our disposal. They are those who are going through it right now with their own parents, and I just admire them so much in all that they're doing. The ones that I am close to, that I see and hear their conversations, to me it's just amazing the amount of strength and just fortitude and everything else that it takes to keep going every single day. So we were going to have several of them on the line with us today on the panel, but due to various situations, we have them listening on, a few of them listening on, a few others couldn't make it this time around. We are going to do this as a series. So have no fear if you aren't able to log on, or if you are just catching this recording later. And just watch out for when I announce the next one, so that we can have a full panel on and just have everyone share firsthand what they are going through. You can always, if you are listening live, you can chat in, and let me put the chat up here. Excuse me, oops, I don't want that. Don't want to share my screen. Chat. There we go.
No.
I know. I went, hey, come back. Oh boy, I know. I hate that screen share thing. It takes you like way out there.
Oh my goodness.
It'll come back in a minute once because I did unshare right away.
There we
go. So okay, the chat is open there, so I could see anything, but I wanted to just bring this information forth, put it in a recording so that we could reference this and eventually have more people each and every time join us live. There's something great about just getting the information live, having the dialogue that just makes it better and gives us what we need right then and there. Plus, there is so much that we have of value to share. So I do have Sherry Wiggins on the line here, or on the panel here with us. Say hey, Sherry.
Hey.
And so I'll just be pulling from you some information as well, Sherry, because you are in that situation a lot more than I am. If your mother, of course, is still in her own home, still doing her own thing,
Yes, thank
and her
God.
wonderful 80. Is she 85?
She is 82 this year.
82. Oops, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, she's 82, and I mean going strong, boy. She's
Yes.
nowhere near ready to need that in-home care, but you are there for various, chores and tasks and such to help her out, errands and all. You also did have your father pass not too long ago, so you can always share with us from that standpoint as well. So, and how many years has it been
Since my father passed,
left? Mm-hmm.
10 years actually.
Wow, 10
10
years.
years, yeah.
My goodness, time is just.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it either.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, you have a lot of good info for us. Now, one thing I wanted to just read real briefly. Oh, and let me just mention this before I go further. One of the panelists who couldn't make it today, she sent me the booklet that she has, excuse me, and I will get this available to anyone who wishes to have it, she has a booklet that's called Avoiding 5 Common Mistakes That Adult Children Make with Aging Parents. Sounds like a very good guide to have. And she runs an organization. Well, one of the things that she does is working with senior lifestyle. But she's a senior lifestyle specialist, so she works in that arena and is very knowledgeable, can be very helpful. So we'll have her on in one of our future hangouts here. The thing I wanted to read here, 8 things not to say to your aging parents. So this will be some good information to live by as we travel into that phase where we're having to sometimes be the adult for them. And I'll just read all straight through these things, and then we can discuss each one as it relates to us. Number 1, how can you not remember that? Okay, and as Sherry was, as we were just chatting a little bit ago, Sherry was saying that that's something she does herself, forgetting where her glasses are. Sometimes they're right on your head, right?
Right.
But it's like, where are they? Where are they? Can't find my keys, can't find my card, my glasses. And so, yes.
We were talking about yesterday, looking for your phone when it's in your hand. I've done that.
Yeah. Definitely.
I have done that.
Or when you find it and you're wondering, why in the world was it there? What made me leave the phone? I've left the phone in my bedroom closet on a shelf. And don't remember laying it down in there, but I'm sure, I had to, because how else would it have gotten in there? I mean, I know when I go, if I'm on the phone, as I'm coming in the door and I'm going to the bedroom to take my shoes off or something, going to the closet, then yes, I could lay it down there, and then that happens. And yay, we have Mary on with us. Hey, Mary.
Hi.
Great. You can hear us? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. We don't see you just yet, but maybe that will change. We'll get you on there. But yeah. And Mary, I'm just going through the list of 8 things not to say to your parents as you're caring for. and I am looking forward to grabbing some information from you, because I know you are really, really deep into this phase. So the first one was, how can you not remember that? And then the second thing is, you could do that if you really tried. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3 is, I just showed you how to use the DVR yesterday.
Oh my God.
Now, you know what? That's a tough one, because I don't even know how to use the DVR.
Right.
I don't really want to
These are
know
things
how
not
to
to say to anybody, not just your aging parent, but to anybody.
Right. Oh, I know I get that with my my significant other. He gets after me when I need to call on him for computer work. And, like, my computer's not working, my internet, my Wi-Fi, whatever's not working. And he's like, and you used to be a computer tech? And I'm like, yes, I was. When I worked for the airlines, I was a help desk specialist. So
things have changed a lot since then, though, in your defense,
Much different. Yeah, and I would have to walk them through the fix on the phone, whether it was a software or hardware issue, and I couldn't tell you any of that now, because it's just my mindset. I just want to get on the computer and I want it to just work. So let's see, number 4. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? Okay, conversations do kind of divert off, somewhere else, and yes, that happens. Let's see. I want your silver tea service when you die. Oh my Lord!
Oh my God!
Wow!
Oh
yeah.
Wow!
Yeah, that's definitely not something that we want to bring up anytime soon.
No, not unless they bring it up and they're asking you.
Yes.
Oh.
See, another one is, You already told me that. I am guilty. I do say
Me
that
too.
because especially when you know the story's going to be a long one.
Right, right.
You're like, oh, Mom, yeah, you told me that already. Yep, you told me.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I do that all
Oh,
the time.
yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Number 7 is wake up, or shh, I thought you wanted to see this.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay. You know, if they have a thought right at that time, let them express it, you know.
Right,
Okay, even if it is in the middle of your favorite TV show or their movie or
right.
something. And the last one is hello. Your grandson's name is Ryan or blah blah or blank. Now we know,
Okay.
right? Now Sherry and I, we share this situation. Sherry being my sister-in-law for like the last 30 something years.
Yes.
And so, yes, my mom, even it has nothing to do with elderly dementia or anything.
Always been that way.
She cannot remember her children and her grandchildren and now her great grandchildren's names.
She's called me Shirley for 40 years.
Wow.
I know she's supposed to be. Now see, I'm like,
Oh, Lord.
Sherry is yes, you are Shirley, according to my mom,
Oh,
and
my God.
and it will never change.
It never
That's
will.
that's something. Wow. Well, oh my goodness. All righty. Well, yeah. On that note, I want to introduce Mary. And Mary, I wish that we could see you, but you probably do. You have a camera, a webcam?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So that would be why. So Mary is a good friend of mine. I met way back when we lived in Chicago,
Okay.
and she has actually taken the opposite of what some people have to do, but she and her husband sold their house in Chicago and they moved to Fresno, California to move in with the aging parents that need their
Wow.
assistance.
Yeah.
So give us a little background, Mary, a little 5-minute intro, 5 or several minute intro of that whole journey. You know, even like with how you came to that decision and how it's been since you're there.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. Can you put
Okay.
all that in 5 minutes, right?
All right. Let's
And
see.
then tell us how many years it's been too.
Um, well, I thought it was less than 5 years ago. Well, it'll be 5 years in October. My mother ended
Mm.
up getting sick, and well, she had surgery on her toe, and it went downhill from there. They pretty much said that, oh, by the way, she's a diabetic. Oh, by the way, she's not going to live through this. And
Mm.
you could take her home for hospice, or we can admit her elsewhere. And through that process of going in for a toe surgery, the week before that, she was running around at a family reunion in the park, okay? And then all that
Yeah.
happened. But what happened is she was over medicated.
Oh,
That's why she wasn't responding, because she really, like, well, she's a lady that's had 14 children with no pain. So
What?
obviously she could bear pain, and aspirin is like taking morphine in a sense for her. So come to find out, they ended up giving her morphine and some of the other Ativan and things that were on the list of a no-no.
Oh,
But long story short, we took her home. She was on a feeding tube by the time we got her home, because all through the process of the hospital, the damage they did, she wouldn't eat, she didn't do any of that, and so she was on a feeding tube. She's well, she's 88 now as of last month, and she's doing her own thing pretty much. So she's 88. And I basically was going back and forth almost every month, trading off with my sisters and brothers, trying to get her well. So this was like a 1.5 year, 2 year process, to where finally my husband, which is retired, said, let's just move back to Fresno. You're retired, I'm retired. Why are we doing this craziness of going back and forth? So that's what happened, is we moved out to Fresno after about a 1.5 years, 2 years of saying, okay, we'll make this our home. In the meantime, my dad saw her in that state of in the bed, about to die type of, thoughts that were going through his head, pretty much triggered something in him. And then, he started forgetting everything and started he ended up getting sick. So my dad will turn 90 next month.
Wow.
He is, so he's dealing with, now it seems to be more like dementia or something. He's going back to the doctor, but the angry type of forgetting and not wanting to cooperate and being real defiant. But he walks around and does his own thing, and we're all wrong with everything that happens in our lives.
Okay.
So my mother is well, not well enough to be left alone in a sense, but well enough to be able to now bathe herself and feed herself, and it's a little forgetful, but nothing like my dad took a turn for the worse. And they had been together since over 70 years, so quite naturally to see her like that was devastating to him. So my husband and I are here with him, and we are now, Terry, every month we get 1 week off and we just leave. Okay.
There you go.
Good.
Yeah.
So there is some joy in getting away 1 week of not being told by your parents that that's not the way to do it.
Oh my.
Pretty much of my journey so far.
I know you were telling me the other day about how just, just whatever you were doing was wrong. When was it with, I guess you were even having to school your brother on the right way to do things. Tell us about how that works when you have the siblings who aren't doing this every single day. When they come in.
So we had a come to Jesus meeting last month, month before last, to say that this is a little more taxing than anybody should have to go through with as many siblings that exist here in town. And it's funny how if you're doing it, your family members will let you do it until you are dead and gone, and your parents will still be around in a sense. So we had a meeting, and it's now they have to give up 2 days a month to come and spend at least 6 hours with their parents.
Good.
It's not one of those. They'll instantly say, "Well, we come by, we're there." Well, it's kind of like a pigeon, you just come by, drop in for a minute, you'll leave your mess sometimes, and then you're not there, so how does that help the situation? My parents are always glad to see them, but I would like a relief. Be relieved of some of the duties. So anyways, so now they agreed to 2 days a month to come by. So now they have to learn how to wash up my dad, give him a shower, and and things to do. And I've been doing it by myself, but now, with caretakers and stuff. But when I'm here, I do it without any assistance. But my dad, when he becomes threatening, most of them take it serious. Oh, I can't do it because Dad said he was going to do this to me and that. And, the easy way out.
That's hard though.
So now I'm training them on how to pull his shirt off over his head when he pulled his shirt off, but let him take his arms out of the sleeves, and while he's doing that, then you work on the other parts of his body. Just some of those things that I learned a long time ago. I never thought it would come in handy, but through the years of high school and stuff, working in different places. So anyways, it's been a challenge, My dad also, he's gotten smart enough to say, no, I'll wait until Mary gets here. Okay.
Oh no. Oh no.
So even when their siblings are there to help.
Yeah, right. And they'll take him up on the offer. So then we had to set some ground rules. If my mother says she doesn't need any help, we know she doesn't need you, but dad needs you. If
Mhm.
you have any issues, don't call them, call me, things
Mhm.
like that. Otherwise, it's an easy way out for them.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so we're still in the trial stage. This will be my first official. Well, last month I was supposed to take 7 days off, and I only took 5. And it's not that I felt guilty or anything, but you know, I just said, okay, I'll take 5, and then so
Mhm.
starting Thursday, I'm leaving for 7 days. So we'll see how it works out.
Great. Great.
Now, are you
Yeah.
going out of town or you're just going somewhere
Oh,
else?
oh yeah. If
Good.
I'm going out of town, my children, I have 2 girls, and one lives in Maryland, the other one lives in Ohio, but they're on their way. Her husband got orders for Alabama, so he
Ooh.
started April 1st. So I'm on my way to Ohio to help her for 3 days, and then the other 4 days I'm just going to go somewhere.
Good.
But yes, you have to leave
Good.
town, because if you're
Mhm.
even when they're here, if I'm upstairs, they're going to call me.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wondered about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
you have to leave,
What
otherwise.
kind of a burden does that put on you, though, having to leave town every month?
Well,
Funny.
actually, I'm used to traveling, so
Oh, okay.
it's not bad at all. And
Good.
my niece came and saw what I was going through 2 years ago, actually, and she works for the airline, so she gave me her
Oh,
companion pass.
nice.
And
Awesome.
she said, Auntie, she said, this is just crazy but funny, because my dad is a jokester. I mean,
Yeah. He
she's,
is a great guy.
yeah, so so anyway, she gave me her companion pass. The first 2 years, I didn't use more than 8 of the trips. This year, I'm
Mhm.
going to use all 16. That's my goal.
Good.
Okay.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
So that'll give me some relief. And if my husband doesn't want to go, it's like, oh, well, turn your phone off. You're going to be here with them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That is so important, and that is so great that you are doing that because I mean, it's a very, very true and sad statistic that generally the caregiver dies before the person that they are caring for.
Yep.
It just is just so sad because they're giving and giving and giving and not taking time to regroup and replenish themselves, and that just happens. So good for you for
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Actually,
did
it's,
you
oh, go ahead.
how did you establish boundaries when you first moved in? Because you're used to having your own place and everything, and then all of a sudden you and your husband are moving in with your parents. How did
Well,
that work out? Did you have to have a meeting and establish boundaries, or did it just kind of ease on, or what did you do?
well,
You
well,
know.
first of all, my mother, there's no boundaries when it comes to my mom, because she's still my mother, and the age difference is the same as when she had me.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Right.
but the beauty of it all is that there's 2 bedrooms downstairs, and then there's the 4 bedrooms upstairs, and my dad can climb the stairs, but my mother can't. And my
Okay.
dad is easy to take care of. He's always been a no nonsense person. He doesn't believe in no drama, nothing else, except now with the anger and stuff that he's dealing with,
Hmm.
because of now not being able to hold his bladder and being
Oh,
embarrassed.
that's got to be hard.
But he
Wow.
is, so once you take care of him in the mornings, and he's easy after that. It's just getting him up and fighting with him to change and to take a shower. And then after that, he's a piece of cake, but my mother never stops. So the only boundaries that I have is that when she's talking, excuse me, Mom, I have to go to the restroom. And then when I go to the bathroom, and then I just don't go back downstairs with her. She
Okay.
gets it, so that's the only way. And then sometimes
Mm.
when she see me leaving, she knows, oh, I did it again.
Ah,
So
okay. She's like, uh-oh, I ticked Mary off.
But all the things you said before, of the things not to say, those are the things that I'm thinking and wanting to say,
Right,
that I'm biting on my tongue. And then I
right.
got so bad that I knew then, okay, I can't. Well, about 4 months ago, it's like, okay, this is enough. When the joy starts leaving you of caring for your parents, and you know that you need to be relieved. And
Mm.
so I needed some release, and that's when we said, okay, if I'm going to continue to do this, then I have to have some support. And I had to come to that, because
Right.
other people will let you down. If when you have expectations of others, it
Yep.
will, that's when you get upset. So
Yep.
now it's like, this is what I have planned, and if they don't show up, you got to move on, you know. So that's pretty much of knowing that there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Because when I leave, like today, from on my way home from church, my brother said, "How long are you going to be gone?" I said, "I would love to be gone for 2 months." He goes, "Oh no." He goes, Dad's going to have a hard time, and Mom's going to miss you." And he didn't say anything about him, that he's going to miss me or anything. Like, 'cause my brother
Right.
too. So then I said, "I'm going to be gone for 1 week." He goes, "That's going to be tough for Dad, but we'll handle it." So that was
Mm.
good to hear him say that.
Yeah. Good. They got it now. They got it. Because most of them do live there in town, right? You said?
I have one sister, which was she can help a little bit, but she had breast cancer, so
Okay.
she's
Mm.
healing. But I have four brothers that live here in town, and then one that had back surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So most of them are, the girls that could really help are ones in Portland, and the other ones in the Bay Area, California. So
Mm-hmm.
dealing with boys is a little different. Some of them you have their spouses with them, and um,
Oh,
but anyways, it's like I
yeah.
said, if Mary can do it, if Mary will do it, and I never have to help out, that would be great. That's their way of thinking,
Right,
you
right.
know. So
Yeah. And that is such an excellent point that you made as far as just, having that aha moment and saying, okay, the joy is gone, because that's something I never thought about.
I didn't
And
either.
yeah,
yeah, and probably most people going into it wouldn't think
yeah,
about that. They probably feel too guilty to think about it, but hey, that's reality.
yeah.
You are doing this,
Hmm.
24/7, and the joy is going to run out, just
Hmm.
as if it were a spouse that something happened to. When you got married, everything was hunky dory, and
Yeah.
now you're the caretaker for your spouse, and it's like, I know I said till death do us part, through sickness and health and all this, but
Right.
man, oh man, this is more than I bargained for. So it's okay to be real and
Yeah.
say, this is how I really feel, so how can I how can I make some changes so that I don't have to feel this way?
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Very good that you did that.
Hmm.
So how about the things financial that you've come to find out about? Because this is very good. I'm so glad you're on the line. Tell us what you told me the other day about when you found out that the agency, whatever, said that they made
Oh.
too much
Oh.
money for the
Oh
in-home care.
my.
Right. Right. Um, with my dad's pension, his pension put him over the amount for them to be able to receive, and to receive services. And so one day I went, how you just say, okay, let's go see if there's anything else that can happen, because my dad needed some new false teeth. And this lady said, well, go to, I don't know what it's called, but it's part of, it's the county, I guess, or something. It's in-home, I know, IHSS, in-home service systems or something. But anyways, we went out to this place and filled out the paperwork, sat there and waited. And then the lady looked over all this stuff, and she says, well, your dad's pension puts you over the amount. So he's not going to qualify for home services, or to have that some other kind of, it's Medi or something they call it. So basically, we had to sign up for the other Medicare, Medi-Cal, or what called Medi is all I know. And then we also had to apply for just some additional insurance. a medical insurance, and I think just by adding paying $38 a month more for additional medical insurance, which is eye and dental. He didn't really need dental. He's not going to need any dental, but just those two things, adding that to his expenses allowed him to qualify to be able to receive
Oh,
in-home services.
wow.
But people don't tell
Huh.
you that, because before, when he was getting some assistance a long time ago when he cracked his skull, he had to pay half that money out of his pocket for people to come and serve, and help him with
Oh,
everything.
wow.
So he had to pay. But in this situation, if we had known even then that you can apply for additional medical assistance that deducts the money from, because I don't know, I think it was something like $38 equal like $400 in a sense of expense or whatever. So that brings your salary down a certain amount of money to be able to receive services. So
Hmm.
that was a blessing. The lady that I met with was a Christian. And she was Hispanic. But she invited us to her church, and she said, they speak English and Spanish, but she was a Christian, and we had some conversations. So I thank God for her, because otherwise I never would have known.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't
And
that something?
so that's, there's other ways to make things happen, to where
Yeah.
if if you know the right people, or you keep asking the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's just it, just asking questions, because a lot of times who would know
Right.
um, to get around it that way. There was something also too. I was hoping that Tamara would be on the line with us. There was something that she came across and found out regarding the sale of her mother's home. That in the event of her mother's death, if the home wasn't sold at least 5 years prior to death, then it gets hung up in probate or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember at all what she said it was, but that was an eye opener, because you don't know when someone is going to leave this earth. And so it's almost like you really would need to do that right now,
Right.
just in case. If
Mm-hmm.
it's something that's going to make a difference in the property being tied up. And I know my cousin went through that a lot with her father. Her mother had already passed, and then when her father passed, they were trying to get the car, his car that he owned. I mean, just every little thing. They were just, well, we can come and take this, we can come and take that, to
Right.
settle this and settle that. It's like they just come across like vultures.
Well,
And
Terry, I do know that it's when the lady was going over all the paperwork with us, it used to be did your parents sell anything 7 years ago? And now it's 10 years. Now it's 10 years back. Did they come across any money, or did they sell anything of value? And I forgot the dollar amount, because if there's any medical, um, if you owe the government for any medical stuff, then they get paid first out of whatever you've owned or sold. So she did explain that to me as an eye opener for me
that's
and
probably
my
what it,
But
husband.
if you sold something 10 years ago, you
With
wouldn't still have that money, would you? What are they trying to collect it from?
Well, it's within 10 years, and if it's a certain amount, they're probably going to look at, should you still have some of that money left over, or do you have any? And if you have property or anything of value now as well, what does that mean when it comes to um, being able to afford, um, being able to pay them back for what you use the government for? For instance, my parents, if they had any of their properties and stuff left over, then he wouldn't have been able to get in-home services.
Oh my God.
what?
Yep, in-home service. He wouldn't.
Wait a minute.
He
Wait a
would
minute. Say
not.
that again. Say that again.
My parents a long time ago changed everything over, but if they had a house, if you have a house, if you own a house, then you're not eligible for the in-home services here. If you own your own property, I should say. Yeah.
That's
So,
what it was that Tamara was telling me about. if you own, and then, like you said, and it probably was 10 years and not the 5 years that I said, so that means if anything was changed over less than 10 years, they're going to want you to show proof. Where's the
Right.
money?
Right.
So you get
Justify.
it. Ah,
Yep.
So it sounds to me like all of us that have aging parents should be seeing lawyers, taking our parents to lawyers right now
Yeah.
yep.
before this stuff happens
Right.
to make sure that we've got everything lined up.
Right. At least have a trust to where they can't touch it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Get it now in a trust. And so, did your parents have to sign it all the way out of their name to your name, or as long as it's in a
No,
trust?
this was done a long time ago. It's this is stuff that I learned from my parents a long time ago with having, because then it was only 7 years back. It's so at the age of 60, start looking at what you're gonna do, because that's when you start finding out you have a few more aches or things happen to you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it was taking things out of your name and making sure that it's whatever you want to give away, you better give it away now, in a sense, or you
Mm.
put it in a trust so you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it. And that's, those are the things that had to happen. And that was, when my mom's when they sold the last house, they both were pretty much well, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, I don't know if they were 70 something, but anyways, it happened way beforehand. So
Okay.
now it's they're able to just to be able to live without having to report every 10 cents to the government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did either one of them have long-term care insurance? I'm guessing
Oh,
not.
oh no. No, my mom's 88 and my dad's 90. I don't even think they thought they were going to live this long.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. I mean, even my dad, he still tells me he's not going to be 90. Okay.
Uh,
You
and
know?
he's already 90, right? He's
Well,
saying
he'll be 90 next May 7th. He'll turn 90.
okay,
But yeah,
wow.
yeah, he thinks he can't believe he lived this long either.
I know my mom has long-term insurance, long-term care insurance. So, but I'm realizing that we need to talk a lot about this.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
This week.
So,
exactly. That's exactly why I wanted to do this webinar and even a series of these so that we can see the reality, of it all. Have a reality check and say, okay, because it's bad enough with us, we don't plan our retirement. And the majority of people just think, well, oh well, I'll figure it out when it happens.
Right. Social Security will take care of it. Yeah.
Well, we should definitely be not thinking that
Right.
anymore. But what are we thinking? Who knows what we're thinking? We're definitely not planning it. But this is even on a micro scale. I mean, this is even bigger than just ourselves continuing to work, because that's the alternative that we have. We can just continue to work if we're not ready to retire. However, with these things that we're speaking of now, you can't put it off. You can't put off
Right.
death. When death happens, it happens. When an
happens, right.
illness happens, it happens. And you can't just say, "Oh, I'll just keep working through it." No, this is a whole different animal. So I really want people to just be jolted into action right now by hearing these different things. And it's not a matter of cheating the system either.
No. No.
Yeah, it's not like you're trying to cheat and hide and all and things, but it's there are some ways out there that the government has that just it just shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. From Medicare and such, you should just be able to care for yourself to some extent. It shouldn't be $10,000 a month for assistant, services.
Right.
And
Right. Well,
it's crazy.
there is one other thing that when you mentioned how do we do this come to realization that my husband and I need to make this transition is that we lived in a house that was way bigger than we needed it to be for two people.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily hide from him on purpose. And he could easily do the same for me, you know. So we had all this stuff. And when I started seeing what was happening with my mom, I thought, oh, there's no way that I want to leave this earth where my children have to come in and go through the basement.
Thank you.
And, you know, and I moved so many times with the company that, you know, you had some favorites from every location. So we were able to do that. Now all they have, and we promise that within 3 more years, we'll have our storage completely cleaned out of our values, you know, valuable things that we think are valuable to us, but might not be to them. And so that helped us to say, okay, we need to downsize, clean this up, the properties that we own, get rid of them. Why are we having these other, you know, headaches? In a sense, because the economy was bad and there's just things that we didn't need to make, you know, it wasn't making us happy. So why were we doing it? And that really helped with being able to say, okay, it's time to sell the house that, you know, our kids grew up in, you know, and stuff like that. It's time to just move on and start living for the two of us. And then also to be wise when it comes to the government, you know, of how, what could happen to us. So that was just one thing that helped us decide that, oh yeah, let's just, you know, let's make it easy on our children.
Right.
I keep begging my mother. Oh my God, she hangs on to it. Oh my gosh.
I know. I've seen.
Seen that basement? Oh my God.
Oh. Just, you know, I had a note from someone else who wasn't able to make the call here. That just reminded me, Sherry, when you said that she, let's see. And wanted me to share, and I'm probably not going to be able to find it, but she's a realtor, and I can't remember if it was just in her through her realtor business, but she said that she was dealing with the daughter of a mother. Both daughters lived out of state, and the mother, I guess so, maybe it was, you know, the mother was selling her home. Well, the daughters had no idea that the mother was a hoarder.
Oh, yikes.
Yes, a bona fide hoarder. And so there are just things that you have to take hold of way before it gets to that stage where, you know, their health is gone. And there's some mental capacities that just aren't there to deal with it, and then you have to step in and deal with it. And so, yeah, with so many of us living out of state, that's just that happens. And Sherry knows.
I tell you, my brothers and I have been dealing with this with my mom for a few years now. And it's been very, very difficult. You know, we have, like last summer, for example, all 3 of us, they live in Denver, and the 3 of us got together with my mom and just spent a week just to clear out the basement. And it was very, very difficult because she's got everything in sacks. And she had I can't even tell you all the crap that she had. And it took everything I had not to be disrespectful, not to be angry, to respect her boundaries and say, and check with her, because I told Mom, I promise you I will not throw anything out without your okay, because she was so anxious about that. But having to go through every daggone newspaper article and magazine that she saved and listen to her tell me why she saved it and why she needs to keep it.
Yep.
and trying to convince her mom, we can see this stuff online now, we don't need to keep this, and blah blah blah, and it's been down here for 20 years. It's extremely difficult, and this is an ongoing thing with my brothers and I and her, and it's extremely hard. And she is not suffering from dementia or anything else. I would not classify her as a hoarder, because at this point right now, the stuff that she's keeping is down in the basement or up on the third floor. It's out of sight. The rest of the house is reasonably
I was going to say, when you come to her house, you would never
know that.
Anything that you would.
But we talked to her, Mom, don't make us clean this out, when you're gone, because everything's just going to be tossed out. But the problem is she does have valuable stuff mixed up in the newspaper articles and the magazines and all this other crap she keeps. It's extremely frustrating. And
yeah, and I came all the way from Las Vegas to Columbus to clean out my mom's basement, and so I know what you mean. She was trying to do that same thing, go through everything as I'm going through it, or try and tell me, oh no, you can't lift that, or you can't do that.
Right.
I came here to do this. Yes, I can lift this. So what I did is, and I was going to go to church with her, but when she went to church, I said, oh, no, I'm not feeling well. I'm not going to go to church. I just want to, just chill, because, I got to go back in a couple days or whatever. As soon as she left the house, I just I just scrambled.
See, I can't do that, because that would destroy the trust between us.
Yeah. If she once you told her that you weren't going to throw anything away, then you at least maybe you could have put everything in a box that was questionable and then thrown everything else away. I don't know.
That was the process we were going through.
Okay.
Putting stuff in the box to throw away, sorting the stuff. That was the process. But she had to see everything. She made us promise that.
Okay.
And to go against that, she would not have allowed us to even help at that point.
Okay.
Well,
wow.
I have something to say about that, and that's when we moved, and Terry, you know where we lived in, in Chicago, in the suburbs. When we moved, when we started preparing everything, my children agreed to help me do a yard sale and all that other good stuff. And before that, my youngest daughter, which is hard, you say no, she has that stubborn will that, oh yes, we can do this and it will happen type. So she came to help me. So I'm going to speak from the experience that I had with getting rid of things that meant a lot to me. I finally had to come to grip with the fact that it's been in the basement all this time. Even though it was valuable, it's only being valuable to the basement.
Right.
But there's other people that could really use what I had. And I mean, I knew that for a fact, because there's sometimes at church somebody needs, oh, I got that, I can go get it for you, or, I could give it to you. So I felt better by knowing that I was going to sell it or give it away to somebody that could really use it. So, and that's the same, but it took me a good while to come to that, because I was going to say, okay, Aisha, you can't come and help me anymore, because she was just, oh, Mom, So it took me a good while. I mean, I can't even tell you if it was 6 months later or how long, to realize that it's not doing anybody any good in this basement when there's needy people out there that can use it. Yeah. Okay. So even with selling it, even doing the yard sale, she was in charge of it, and she just said, you tag everything that you don't want to give away, that you're not going to sell. And then she bargained, and we made thousands and thousands of dollars by doing this. Okay.
Wow.
Because I had some, it was hard, and there's some things that I let go that I forgot to tag. But she said, "Well, Mom, you didn't tag it, so I'm sorry."
Oh.
Aisha, Terry.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. She's about business.
But it made me feel good about the fact that I'm giving stuff to people that really need it. And there was one lady that moved and had to moved to town and needed everything for her house. didn't have anything for her house. She was getting away from an abusive relationship.
Mm.
And it felt good it was almost where I felt guilty charging her for. It's like, let her have it, like I would,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Mhm.
But it was so I had to come to grips with the fact that this is how I see it, and this makes me happy to be able to release something that I was attached to. And then so whatever is kind of looking at how do you get the person that you're working with to understand that they can add value and feel good about it in their way and not ours, or forcing it on them.
That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Now I have a question that came in from Carol. She asked if anyone was a veteran, if your parents were a veteran
No,
or
not mine.
you.
No.
Okay.
No. My husband's a veteran, but no.
Oh, okay. Do you know of any special, because you didn't elaborate on that question, but do you know of any special senior assistant living benefits as such that he will have
That veterans have?
as a vet? Mary,
No,
anything that he will
my
have?
husband's a retired veteran, so it's different from just
Oh.
from a veteran that didn't retire. But I do know of my Beverly's dad was a veteran, and they helped him with subsidized housing.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I do. My brother Tim worked. I can have I can ask him because he actually was the one that was in charge of housing the homeless, the
Mhm.
veterans that were homeless, and he worked for that company for quite a few years through the government. So I can ask Tim.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's
And then of
that. So
course
this is in California.
mhm. Of
Right.
course the
Okay. Yeah.
VA should have information too.
Right,
The
right,
the local VA. Hmm.
right. And
Okay.
that's what he was a part of with the VA.
Hmm.
So, but no, I don't know of other than the fact that they will, with Beverly's dad, he was a veteran, but not a retired veteran. And they helped him with housing. And then they also, matter of fact, they paid for his funeral, and they
Oh
paid
yeah.
his tithes. They did all kinds of stuff. And it started in Georgia. And then when he moved back to California, they still paid all that. And they
Wow.
paid for his trips to go to his sister's funerals and all kinds of stuff. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
basically checking with the VA and finding out.
Mhm. A whole list of
Hmm.
things. Yeah. One of the things mentioning about veterans and such. One of the things that I created a while back, and Sherry, you remember when I created the My Doctor's Helper booklet.
Yes. Yes. I
I
still
was,
have mine.
yeah, and I have mine too. Yeah, when I was diagnosed with a chronic illness and looked for something that would help me organize the medication I was taking and then how I was feeling when I was on medication and such. I could not find one, so I created my own and got it not copyrighted, got it trademarked and such. And then from that one thing, it grew into a family organizer when I joined forces with another entrepreneur. And one of the sections of the family organizer that we created was a final wishes section.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I definitely put in there um, about veteran services to just, those are questions and things to ask while you're, I mean, it's for you yourself to fill out so that your children don't have to figure this out
Right.
later when you're not around, but it's just as well, it's time to have your parents fill one out as well and talking to them and get like where are your insurance papers, who's your attorney, what's the attorney's phone number, where is your will kept, and the section on veterans, because there are, just as you mentioned, a lot of funeral services that veterans would be privy to, and then also just the type of service that they have, with the flag that
Right.
or
Right.
any other special attendees that would be there. So it is important to log all of that in. and know what those benefits are. But I don't have any veterans in my immediate family either, so I
Either.
haven't gone down that route of checking that out. And I did hear from Tamara also. Tamara was having system issues, and she said her system is back up now, and I think she was going to try, well, she was checking to see if we were still online. I sent her a note saying, yes, join in, but that was a little bit ago, so we'll see if she comes online. And I don't know if her father actually passed when she was 11 years old, and so her mother is who she's caring for right now. So hopefully she joins us. And now, Sherry, when your father passed, I can't believe it's been 10 years already. Yeah. Was there anything that you had to do? I know he was all the way in Colorado.
Yeah, he was
here.
actually, my brothers were the caretakers for him. Well, actually, he was married too at the time, so his wife, but and my brothers, because they all lived in Denver. So his wife mainly took the burden with their help. So I wasn't really involved in that.
Okay. Yeah. And that is good. It's not common for the brothers to take the main role, but that's, it happens because of the location and such, and it is great that they are.
And then my dad, before my brothers got married, they and my dad shared a house for many years.
Oh,
they were all like roommates, so that they were all close. And then, my brothers eventually got married and moved out, and they left the house. My dad rented the house from them, actually. So, and then he got married. So they were all pretty close. They still lived real close. So.
Oh, nice. Oh, well, that's good. And I just remembered a connection and a couple connections. Sherry, you and I have the same earrings on.
Oh my gosh, that's right. We sure do. Joy Bell's earrings.
Yeah, from one of my writing clients. And but yeah, I just remembered the connections between you and Mary. You two don't know each other, but I think you spoke to each other one time because so Sherry used to work for McDonald's Corporation for many years as an admin, and Mary worked for McDonald's Corporation as a consultant to the franchisees, and she knows your former boss.
Oh, Shirley?
Oh yeah, I do.
Shirley Rogers? Yeah.
Right. Shirley Rogers Reese. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So you worked for a franchisee in the Chicago area?
Well, I worked for corporate for 25 years with corporate, and then after that, almost 10 years as a consultant.
Wow. So when did you leave corporate?
In 2003.
Okay, because I left in 2011.
Oh, okay, recent. Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're in Ohio as well?
Yes, yeah. I was working at the regional office in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
So what department were you with when you?
Oh, I was with so many. Oh, wow. But when I at that time, ops development.
Okay.
Right. So I was from ops development and in the divisions, and so I worked with Shirley when I was in the division, the Northeast division. I was
yes.
Yeah. So I've been all over, from California to Florida to Oak Brook.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We probably know a lot of the same people.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And you guys probably had some very decent benefits. Are those benefits good for you now? Are they carrying over to?
Well, when I left, I lost all my benefits, but
most of other than just the stock and different things
right.
I have, but in my situation, mine was a little different. In 2003, I think Doug was your
Doug Gore, yes.
Doug was the person there, and I Doug, I know Doug fairly well, and it was pretty much Doug's good for saving people, but at that time, I asked to leave. They were going to do a buyout, and I asked to be put on that list because my mother-in-law had passed, and then less than a year and a half, my sister-in-law was ill and um, passed away, and then my husband ended up getting cancer, all within those 3 years
Wow.
span, and it was
wow.
like a bit much. So
Wow.
I asked them to put me on the list because I wanted to go into consulting anyways and had planned on it in like 1998. That was my plans then, and then I stayed to help out with a major project, Made for You, and
Oh, yes.
friends talked me into staying and in 1998. So that was an opportunity for us. Like, well, take an opportunity when you know that you still have the ability to do those things for as a consultant. And then, of course, with all the other stuff that was going on in my personal life. So I asked in 2003, they asked me if I wanted to be an operator, and I said no, not just yet, but don't count me out because, it was just too much. So,
Right.
but the joy of knowing that I could do this is my husband was retired military, so I still had insurance, medical insurance. A lot of people,
Yeah.
my department could not. They had young kids and everything else, and
Right.
they could not afford to not have a job.
Right.
And especially with medical. So I was fortunate enough to know that I would still have. I had never really used the VA or any of that, but afterwards, now I'm a believer. I know all those numbers for TRICARE and everything.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I do miss the salary, but I don't miss the work.
Yes. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can wear on you. Yeah, Carol was saying that her father was retired also from military. He was a World War II glider pilot.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, great work there. And so she said he has all kind of benefits. So that is good, and that is a
Mm-hmm.
time when someone should really uh, take full advantage. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, these veterans have just given their whole life for this country,
Right.
and they deserve to use every one of those benefits. They
That's
deserve
right.
to have every one of those benefits. So
That's right.
that would be the time to really use it and not just feel like, I've had people when uh, like when they lose their job and they feel kind of guilty about using the unemployment benefits.
I
Oh, are you kidding? No way.
Yeah, it's
have
like,
never known anybody feel guilty about
I
that.
know, or just dragging their feet to do it. I don't know if it was out of guilt
Wow.
or what, but yeah, they're like, oh, well, no, it's not a handout. You worked
Right.
for it. You worked for it.
You paid
So
for
You
it.
paid
you
into it.
paid for it.
Yeah.
Yes, you paid into that. So
Mhm.
you know, same with the veterans. They have really, really, and although I know, let's see, I'm just reading. Yeah, there are a lot of benefits, but as Carol was pointing out, they're very slow. The VA is very
Mhm.
slow. Hopefully, one day, someone in office, some administration will just get in there and turn that around. There is just no reason why we should see our veterans homeless, seeing them not get the service that they deserve to have, and just seeing them down and out. I mean, whew, I just get angry about that.
Well, there's going to have to be some major changes. I mean, that's going to take a lot. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
You
whole
know,
society. Mm.
I was on my way. I went on a trip to Canada last month. When I said I just took those 4.5, well, kind of like 5 days, but anyways, I took those 5 days, and I was sitting next to a lady that said that the beauty of Canada is that she only pays, I think she said $140 a month for
Mhm.
medical.
A
They
month.
get everything, everything. You don't, dental, eyes, surgery, everything.
A
And I'm going,
month.
a month. It's like,
Mhm.
how in the heck can that happen there and not here?
Right.
you know. But I just said I was going to check into that even more so. I don't need to move to Canada because I have military benefits, but
Right.
just the fact that, countries are able to afford their people prime care, and here you can even have medical benefits and still can't get the best care.
Right.
Um, so that
Right.
I could not believe it. She said $140 a month, and she had a daughter, and she was, divorced from years ago, and that's how she was. She would fly to LA, and she loves California, but she just can't afford the medical. Okay,
Yeah.
Wow.
but it was yeah. So what a ripoff, huh?
Right.
Here with what we go through.
Right. It
Yeah.
really is. It really is.
Yeah.
I know.
Mm.
And I don't know. I have friends that live in Canada. Um, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I would love to study that one day when I have time. Just to study it and see, because um, it's just really um, such a difference.
Right.
Other countries as well, Sweden, other countries, such a difference in how they're managing theirs, and we're not managing ours. So in that same way, and I know there's a lot of um, ins and outs to
Trade-offs. Hmm.
trade-offs. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
But still, but anyway,
Yeah, but requiring somebody to, I don't know if they still do this, but I remember my mom was telling me about this couple that actually had to divorce in order for the husband to be eligible for Medicaid, or sell their house, so
right?
that he could get
Ridiculous.
medical benefits. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
We should not
yeah,
have to do that.
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
No.
Well, I've
There's
heard it
yeah,
the other way around where people won't get married because their benefits will change. I've
That
heard that,
too.
and that's
Mhm.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
That too. Mhm.
Yeah, especially people who are elderly. And it's happening that folks are living longer.
Mhm.
They may
Right.
outlive a spouse, and so
Mhm.
they are still dating and remarrying when they're already on Medicaid and
Mhm. Mhm.
living on Social Security, and
Right.
that is a concern at their
Right.
age, that they would lose a substantial amount of their Social Security benefits should they change their marital status. And so they're between a rock and a hard place, because
Right.
at that age they're not quick to just shack up.
Right. Right.
But they're sometimes, what do you do? What do you do? So, oh yeah, yeah. But anyway, well, we're going to be getting ready to wrap up, and I will gladly have this discussion again, when we can get the other individuals online as well, and then so that they can contribute from their standpoint. Um, any parting words of wisdom? Any things you want to, questions you want to put out there, or uh, anything?
Mhm.
Kind of covered the what to say and what not to say, how to treat the parents, and uh,
That should be what to say and what not to say to anybody, much
yeah,
less
this
your
is
parents.
true. Can I have your favorite china when you leave?
Wow.
That.
I'm getting the piano, right? I want the piano.
Right.
Oh, you can
Yeah.
have this.
Yeah.
Sister can have the sofa or something. I want this. Man, oh man, it just the thing is, bottom line is, how do you get to that conversation?
Right.
Whatever that conversation consists of, whether it's just, how are we going to sell your house? Who's going to take care of your paperwork?
Mhm.
Where are you going to live? All of those, whatever the conversation consists of, you got to have the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that we learned here, even because of the thing with the 7-year, 10-year property and all that, you got to have the conversation soon.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be easy, because just like people don't like to buy insurance because of what it stands for, life insurance because of what it stands for. It's like, oh, you're trying to get money out of me when I'm gone. I'm like, it's take the emotion out of it and let's just be practical and use wisdom and let's talk about this. So that's where it has to be. I know my mom is very open about dealing with all of it. She's, it's between me and my older brother as far as the paperwork, but he's given up. He's resigned. He told me it's on me. He's like, you have it. Because she has a lot of stuff. He doesn't have
I can see that jaw tightening now.
I know. He doesn't have the patience at all for it.
No,
And so I really appreciate the fact that she is very open with it, and and I have a lot of her information already, so that if, heaven forbid, anything happened before we have a chance to really sit down and deal with all of the paperwork, that I could perhaps get something done.
Has she given you the durable power of attorney yet? Make sure that you get that. Make sure that you get that.
What kind of power of attorney is it?
The durable power of attorney. For if he becomes ill or, somebody that makes those decisions.
Okay.
Because my mom is very open about it too, and we've had the conversation. It's an ongoing conversation because things change. And I have started that conversation with my daughters, and of course I have to hear, I don't want to talk about that, Mom, and I have to say, we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
But my mom has already done her living will, and I've got the durable power of attorney, and and also her regular will. We know who the executor is and all that stuff. So,
good.
I'm very thankful for that, and that's what I'm going to do with my daughters. So.
Yeah, because we're all going to leave this earth, and we don't know how, we don't know when.
Right.
And look, in the case of Mary's parents, the doctors were already writing off her mom.
Writing her off. Yeah.
Man. Writing her off, and that was, that's what they do best when you get at a certain age, and they medicate you, and in some cases that does shorten your life.
Yep.
So the best thing to ever do is, once you get the treatment you need in the hospital, is get the heck out of there.
Exactly.
As fast as you can, get out of there. And then get on with the healing process. So that is so wonderful. What a great testimony that your mother is, alive and well, and not anywhere near where they
had her. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So we don't know if all of this paperwork that we need to fill out will be useful now or 30 years from now, but we do need to fill it out. So.
Yeah, I don't know how Happy's parents, my husband's parents, got to this, but my father-in-law had his, he called it something else, but it was basically his obituary done, and he would update it every year. And then my mother-in-law, when she passed, before she passed, she had everything updated, and she had a meeting with all of us, and she had her oldest grandson come in to be the facilitator of how she wanted everything to happen. She ended up having cancer, and she didn't want any treatment, and she said that she only had asked God to live 10 more years after her husband passed to help get her youngest grandson at that time age, and he let her live much longer than that. And so she was, but they had everything done for us, which was really a blessing.
Yeah.
Even when some didn't want to abide by it, but it was all in writing, and then the grandson enforced it, and her will and everything it really helped. Okay.
Good. That's the point. That's the point.
Yeah.
What needs to happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome that they did that.
Yeah, because at that time there's so much emotion that's on the table. Such an emotional thing that you're just going to forget something, you're going to miss something. It's just Why put extra stress into the
Yeah, and then like
situation?
Mary said, some people may not have agreed, but if it's all in writing, then
That's
that's how
yeah.
it is. You don't have to have these family blow-ups that
Right. And
so
you know
many
what?
people have.
It's when a person leaves this earth, we miss out on the essence of enjoying their whole life history and where they're going to
Mhm.
continue on because we're caught up on stuff. And
Right.
that really helped us to be able to go and celebrate and to have her favorite songs, have her
Mm,
scripture, whoever she wanted to do, the things that she wanted done.
yeah.
And the same with my father-in-law. And I thought the first time that was news to me. It was like, man, that's morbid. I mean, I just looked like, ooh, really? Are you kidding? Grandpa wanted this because I called him Grandpa, the same that my kids would say. And
Uh-huh.
but he had everything lined out, who was going to sing, who was going to preach, who was the lead
Right.
usher, all this stuff. And I thought, man,
Wow. Down to the
that was
usher.
that was crazy to me because, and Cal, this is back in like, I think that was like 1991 or something.
Oh,
But
okay.
it was crazy to even think of that. But
Mm-hmm.
man, was I glad that even with my mother-in-law, that all that was all put into place where that took a burden off our shoulders and we were able to enjoy their
Yep.
homegoing.
Yeah,
Right.
that is good.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been writing mine out too for
yeah.
years. I've had mine written and rewritten and rewritten.
Well, that's that journey, That's
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, all right. Well, ladies, well, thank you so very much for joining
yeah,
me
yeah.
here and discussing candidly the things that really need to be talked about.
Mhm.
And this will be recorded, and so I will put it as first of several in a series. I don't know how many more, but as I mentioned, I have people who are in the various professions, like Mary being a senior lifestyle specialist. We'd love to hear from her. Madeline is she works for a funeral home and crematory. I have a card here somewhere, but so we'll want to hear from her, and then just the other individuals who have their parents with them, and um, we just want to hear all the different perspectives
Wonderful.
because we
You're
can't
right.
hear too many of them. Can't hear, I there will always be something that we'll learn that we didn't know already. I believe that. So.
Yeah.
All right, on that
Okay.
note, thank you
Thank
again.
you. All
Well,
right.
thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
It
All
was,
Yeah.
it
righty.
was refreshing. Thanks
Yes,
again.
it was. Yes, it was.
Good, good. And that is another, glad you mentioned that because that is another one of the main objectives is to bring comfort to someone to know you're not the only one going through this, which is why I would love to have more individuals on the line at one time who
Mhm.
are, already in your situation, Mary, and so that each of you can just relate and say, wow, I thought I was the only one that had to deal with that, but, or so and so got past that stage of it. So I know that there's light at the end of the tunnel with this or that. So
Mhm.
yes, that is why I do want to do a series on this. So, all
Okay.
right.
That's good. Okay. Well,
Okay.
good night, everybody.
Okay.
Have
Good
a blessed
night.
Good
This
night.
is Terry, aka T. Ross, signing off.
All
week.
right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye
Bye.
bye. And my motto is helping baby boomers and others live long, earn strong, and have a great green time in the meantime.
All
Mhm.
right. I
That's what we're
agree.
Okay.
doing.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yep.
All righty.
All
See you
right. Good
later.
night.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.